The two worst vitamins that cause leg weakness after 60, you could be at risk, feeling your legs getting weaker, heavier, or sore. Notice that climbing stairs, walking, or even standing for a long time is becoming a struggle. If so, pay close attention. What I'm about to reveal in this video might explain exactly why this is happening, and it might be something you'd never suspect. There's a combo of two factors killing the strength in your legs: eating certain dangerous foods, and two vitamins that shockingly are considered essential for health. Yep, vitamins that everyone says are good for you could actually be weakening your muscles, overloading your joints, and leaving your legs shaky, painful, and vulnerable. And the scariest part, these dangers are in your everyday life. Everybody in every sip could be feeding the weakness you feel, but it doesn't stop there. What's really going to blow your mind are these two vitamins which you might be popping right now. You probably buy them at the pharmacy with the best intentions, thinking you're protecting yourself, taking care of your body, strengthening your bones, when in fact you're speeding up muscle loss and sabotaging your legs. In this video, I'm going to show you the truth behind these foods and supplements. You'll understand what's really causing the pain, swelling, stiffness, and that tired feeling that keeps popping up. And most importantly, you'll learn what to avoid and what to change from today to regain your strength, energy, and independence. Want to age healthily and keep your legs strong for years? Then stick with me to the end. Number 15. Sweets and sugary desserts. Sweets and desserts have always been synonymous with pleasure and comfort. After 60, this habit can turn into a silent villain for your leg health. Excessive consumption of refined sugar triggers inflammatory processes in the body, especially affecting the joints and muscles. This chronic inflammation makes the legs more sensitive, painful, and vulnerable to weakening. Moreover, sugar is directly linked to increased insulin resistance, which compromises muscle energy. And when muscle doesn't get enough energy, it weakens and becomes less efficient. Another important point is that excess sugar promotes weight gain, which increases the load on your legs. Every extra pound demands more effort from your joints and lower body muscles. This additional weight causes greater wear and tear, pain, and a feeling of weakness in the lower limbs. This is particularly worrying in older adults who naturally lose muscle mass with age. Sugar also enhances the production of toxins in the body, which further intensify inflammatory processes. And the more inflammation, the harder it is to keep your legs firm and functional. Did you know that sugar also directly affects blood circulation? When consumed in excess, it increases the risk of vascular diseases, which limit blood flow to the lower limbs. Without good circulation, the leg muscles receive less oxygen and nutrients. This makes muscle recovery slower and hampers tissue regeneration. The pleasure of a dessert might be costing too much for your health. Besides metabolic effects, sweets are also low in essential nutrients for muscle health, like proteins and magnesium. In other words, you're consuming empty calories that don't strengthen the body, but rather weaken it. This type of unbalanced diet contributes to muscle mass loss, one of the biggest enemies of mobility in old age. If you feel your legs are getting increasingly weaker, the reason might be as simple as a piece of cake or a slice of pie. What seems like a harmless treat could be compromising your strength and independence. Most industrially produced desserts also contain chemical additives, such as dyes and preservatives, which intensify inflammation. These components disrupt the body's natural balance and directly affect the muscle system. And combined with sugar, they form a highly harmful combo to health. Switching these sweets out for natural options like fruit with cinnamon or homemade desserts with less sugar is already a big step. Yes, you can still enjoy a dessert, but with smarter choices that respect your body, your taste buds, and your legs will thank you. Number 14. Fried foods. Fries are irresistible, but the damage they cause to the body after 60 can't be ignored. These foods, rich in trans and saturated fats, increase inflammation levels in the body. This inflammation directly affects the joints and muscles, making the legs stiffer, more painful, and susceptible to injury. The fat in fried foods also compromises blood circulation, making muscle oxygenation more difficult. With impaired circulation, the body loses the ability to recover and strengthen. Another issue is that fried foods contribute to clogging blood vessels. This further limits the flow of essential nutrients to the leg muscles. Over the long term, this process accelerates joint wear and compromises the body. Support foods like French fries, chicken nuggets, and donuts are among the main culprits. When consumed frequently, these items create a real overload on the circulatory and skeletal systems. The taste doesn't justify the health damage. Ever felt your legs heavier and more painful after a meal rich in fried foods? That's your body reacting to the excess of bad fats. The slow digestion of these foods consumes a lot of energy, leaving less available for the muscles. The feeling of tiredness and legs might be a direct reflection of this diet. Moreover, frequent consumption of fried foods is linked to weight gain, which further increases the pressure on the lower limbs. It's a tough cycle to break. Fried foods also have low nutritional density, meaning they offer few vitamins, minerals, and proteins that truly strengthen the muscles. When your diet is dominated by this type of food, there's an imbalance that favors muscle mass loss. With less muscle, the legs lose firmness and stability. This compromises your ability to walk safely, climb stairs, or carry weight. Simple acts like avoiding fried foods can preserve your autonomy and mobility. Switching fried foods for healthier cooking methods is an effective way to white. Bread is a common food at breakfast and snack times, but its effects on the body, especially after 60, are anything but harmless. Made with refined flour, it undergoes a process that strips away much of the fibers and essential nutrients. This turns it into a rapidly absorbed carbohydrate, which causes spikes in blood glucose. These spikes directly affect muscle health, especially in legs, causing fatigue and weakness. Frequent consumption contributes to metabolic imbalance. Lacking fiber and with a high glycemic index, white bread also contributes to increased insulin resistance. This compromises the entry of glucose into muscle cells, affecting the energy and strength needed for day-to-day movements. The less energy the muscles receive, the harder it becomes to maintain the firmness of the legs. This situation can evolve into muscle mass loss, something common with advancing age. In this scenario, white bread ceases to be an aggravating factor. The impact of white bread goes beyond glucose. Being a food poor in proteins and micronutrients, it offers no real support for muscle regeneration. Older adults need more proteins to avoid sarcopenia, which is the progressive loss of muscle. Eating white bread daily and neglecting on protein sources is a mistake that weakens the body, meal by meal. The consequences of this might be felt as unstable, tired, and unresistant legs. Besides, not nourishing white bread promotes weight gain, especially when combined with butter, cheeses, or sweets. This excess weight burdens the legs already naturally more vulnerable in older ages. The result is pain, inflammation, and a greater risk of injury. Instead of sustaining, white bread contributes to limiting mobility. Each bite may seem harmless, but the accumulation of poor dietary habits is what brings the greatest damage. The good news is that there are much healthier and more nutritious alternatives. Whole grain breads, naturally fermented, were made with grains like oats, flaxseed, and rye offer valuable fibers and nutrients. They help stabilize blood sugar, improve digestion, and indirectly strengthen muscles. Combined with proteins and good fats, like eggs or avocado, they make balanced meals. You don't have to give up bread, just choose better. And still in this video you'll discover the 2 worst vitamins that weaken your legs. Number 12. Alcoholic beverages. Consuming alcoholic beverages becomes even riskier with age, especially when we talk about muscle and joint health of the legs. After 60, the body loses efficiency in metabolizing alcohol, which amplifies its negative effects. One of the main consequences is the difficulty in absorbing important nutrients, like calcium, magnesium, and vitamin D. Without these elements, the muscles lose strength and the bones become fragile, increasing the risk of falls and fractures. Alcohol also directly interferes with muscle regeneration. This means that after any physical effort, the body takes longer to recover the tissues, resulting in prolonged pain, fatigue, and a greater risk of injury. The drink also contributes to dehydration, which affects muscle elasticity and favors painful cramps in the legs. Moreover, alcohol harms liver function, which is linked to the production of substances essential for tissue. Another important point is the relationship between alcohol and weight gain. Even in modern amounts, alcoholic beverages are highly caloric and promote the accumulation of abdominal fat. This excess weight overburdens the legs, demanding more from the joints and reducing the capacity for locomotion. When we add this to the natural loss of muscle mass with age, the result can be devastating for mobility and quality of life. Have you noticed that after a night of drinking, your body wakes up more tired and sore? That's the reflection of the overload that alcohol imposes on the muscles and joints. Frequent consumption increases the levels of inflammation in the body, that intensifying pains and decreasing the willingness for physical activities. In the long run, this habit severely compromises the body's ability to stay active and healthy, and soon I'm going to reveal which 2 vitamins can make your legs weaker. Number 11. Processed meats. Processed meats are part of many people's routines for their convenience, but they hide serious risks to the health of the legs, especially in old age. Foods like sausages, ham, and bacon are high in sodium and chemical preservatives, which promote chronic inflammation in the body. Type of inflammation affects the joints and contributes to constant pain in the knees, ankles, and leg muscles. The stiffness many feel upon waking could be directly linked to these foods. Another problem with processed meats is the amount of saturated fat they carry. This fat-impaired circulation increases bad cholesterol levels and reduces blood flow to the muscles. Without good irrigation, the muscles of the legs receive fewer nutrients and oxygen, which hampers their maintenance and regeneration. The result is a progressive weakening of the lower limbs, and over time this loss of strength limits simple everyday activities. Moreover, these foods contribute to the buildup of toxins in the body, overloading the liver and kidneys. These organs are essential in filtering substances that, when accumulated, cause muscle fatigue. There's also evidence that the preservatives used in processed meats interfere with glucose metabolism, which reduces the energy available to the muscles. The impact, once again, is felt directly in the legs with constant sensations of heaviness and fatigue. It's common for older adults to choose these products for their convenience, but it's precisely in this phase of life that dietary care should be doubled. The convenience can be costly when it comes to losing quality of life. Opting for healthier proteins, such as eggs, chicken, fish, and lean cuts of beef, is an important step in preserving the strength and health of the muscles. Simple substitutions make all the difference. Replace ham with shredded chicken breast, sausage with boiled eggs, and bacon with avocado or olive oil. With these changes, the body begins to rebalance and the legs gain lightness and vitality. It's a fair trade between pleasure and longevity, between flavor and autonomy. Number 10. Instant noodles. Instant noodles may seem like the perfect solution for those looking for convenience, but there are effects on the body, especially after 60, are alarming. This quick meal is largely made up of refined flour and chemical additives, offer very little nutritional value. The result, a calorically dense dish, poor in fiber, proteins, and micronutrients, essential elements for maintaining muscle mass. Over time, this type of diet contributes directly to the weakening of the legs and mobility. One of the major problems with instant noodles is their extremely high sodium content. In a single serving, you might consume more than half of the daily recommended intake of this mineral. Excess sodium favors fluid retention, which causes swelling and discomfort in the legs. Moreover, it raises blood pressure, making it difficult for adequate blood flow to the muscles. And without good circulation, muscle tissues become malnourished, lose strength, and take longer to recover from exertion. Another concerning point is the chemical additives present in the seasonings that come with the noodles. Monosodium glutamate dyes and preservatives are often linked to chronic inflammatory processes. These inflammation, even when subtle, affect joint function and accelerate muscle wear. Over time, this translates into pain, stiffness, and movement limitations that become increasingly common in the routine of those who consume this type of food. The metabolic impact is also significant. The absence of fibers causes the glycemic index of the noodles to be high, causing spikes in blood glucose. This glycemic instability interferes with insulin action, making it difficult for muscles to efficiently use energy. And when muscles don't receive energy efficiently, they become weak and fatigued easily. A simple walk to the market can become a painful effort due to inadequate nutrition. Number 9. Industrially produced cakes. Industrially produced cakes smell like childhood and taste like celebration. They hide ingredients that cause serious damage to leg health, especially in the mature phase. These products are filled with refined sugar, hydrogenated fat, and artificial preservatives that deregulate metabolism, and inflame the body. Sugar, in particular, interferes with insulin action and promotes the accumulation of body fat. This not only leads to overweight but also creates a metabolic environment unfavorable for maintaining muscle strength. Another critical point of these cakes is the presence of trans fats used to enhance flavor and shelf life. These fats increase bad cholesterol and reduce good cholesterol, impairing blood circulation. When blood does not circulate well, the muscles of legs do not receive the necessary nutrition and begin to weaken. Over the long term, this can lead to the loss of lean mass, joint stiffness, and even difficulty in moving. Regular consumption of industrially produced cakes is also linked to chronic inflammation, one of the main triggers for joint pain and muscle weakness. Ingredients such as emulsifiers, stabilizers, and affect the immune system, triggering inflammatory responses that primarily affect the leg joints. The result is more pain, less mobility, and a cycle of sedentarism that further accelerates muscle loss. These cakes, although tasty, also have low nutritional density. In other words, they are high in calories but low in essential nutrients like proteins, calcium, and magnesium, crucial for muscle and bone health. Consuming this type of food frequently is like trying to fuel your body with adulterated fuel. The engine, in this case, your muscles, does not respond the same way, showing failures, fatigue, and slowness. Often, the convenience of these foods leads us to automatic choices without reflection. But the truth is that making homemade cakes with whole flours, fruits, and natural oils can be just as practical as buying a ready-made product. The difference lies in the impact this decision will have on your body in medium and long term. Re-educating the palate is possible, and your muscles will thank you with more firmness, disposition, and vitality. Number 8. Ultra-processed cheeses. Ultra-processed cheeses, such as spreads, processed slices, and melted cheeses, seem practical and tasty, but they hide serious dangers for those who wish to preserve leg strength after 60. High in saturated fat and sodium, these foods launch a double attack on the vascular and muscle system. Saturated fat compromises the elasticity of blood vessels, making circulation difficult, while sodium favors fluid retention and raises blood pressure. This combination makes the legs more swollen, painful, and heavy. Moreover, ultra-processed cheeses often contain additives like phosphates and preservatives, which alter the body's mineral balance. This directly interferes with the absorption of calcium and magnesium, two elements essential for muscle contraction and bone health. When these minerals are not absorbed correctly, the body begins to exhibit symptoms of muscle fatigue, joint pain, and even nocturnal cramps. The muscles of the legs, being large and much used, are the first to give warning signs. Another important point is that these cheeses do not contribute good quality proteins. Unlike artisanal cheeses, which better maintain their nutritional profile, the ultra-processed ones undergo industrial processes that reduce their nutritional density. This means that even though you're ingesting calories, the body is not receiving the amino acids necessary to maintain muscle mass. And with advancing age, losing muscle is one of the main factors in functional decline and dependence. Have you ever noticed that after a meal rich in processed foods, the body feels heavier and less willing? This effect is real and is due to the inflammatory and demineralizing impact of these products. In the long run, the lack of muscle performance, the stairs that seem simple become an obstacle, and short walks require more effort than they should. Everything can be related to the type of cheese that goes on your bread. Replacing these products with fresher, less processed cheeses like ricotta, cottage, or Minas cheese is a smart choice for preserving health. And don't forget, we're getting close to the most important revelation of this video. The 2 worst vitamins for your legs are still to come. Number 7. Industrial ice creams. Industrial ice creams are one of the most consumed foods on hot days or as dessert, but they represent a huge risk to leg health after 60. These products combine large amounts of refined sugar with saturated fats, creating an inflammatory and highly caloric mix. This type of food promotes spikes in blood glucose, followed by sharp falls that compromise the energy stability of the muscles. This instability leaves the legs weak, heavy, and more prone to fatigue.
The saturated fat present in ice creams, especially those of low quality, compromises the circulatory system. This makes it difficult for oxygenated blood to reach the body's extremities, such as the legs.
The consequence is a sensation of numbness, tingling, and even constant cramps. Over the long term, this circulatory deficiency contributes to muscle weakening, part loss of mobility, and an increased risk of falls. All this while we believe we are just giving ourselves a little treat. Moreover, industrial ice creams contain thickeners, emulsifiers, and artificial colors that increase inflammation in the body. This silent inflammation is one of the main factors that harm joints and muscle tissues. The continued use of these products promotes hormonal and digestive imbalances, which directly affect the absorption of important nutrients for muscle strengthening. And without nutrients, the body cannot remain firm and stable over time. Another critical point is that these foods offer no real nutritional benefit. They are rich in empty calories which do not strengthen muscles, repair tissues, or nourish joints. This makes it so that even while eating something sweet, the sensation of tiredness remains and may even intensify. The effect on the legs is noticeable: lack of firmness, lower tolerance to physical effort, and more pain in daily life. With each spoonful, the body loses the chance to strengthen itself. Number 6. Milk chocolates with lots of sugar. Milk chocolates are part of many people's routines, whether as a dessert or a treat in the middle of the day. However, their frequent consumption can have a more severe impact than it seems, especially on the legs of those over 60. Rich in sugar and saturated fats, these chocolates contribute to inflammatory processes that directly affect muscles and joints. The combination of high glucose and bad fat causes metabolic overload, which favors the loss of muscle strength. Another problem with milk chocolate is the low content of cocoa, which is precisely where the beneficial antioxidants are located. What remains in most commercial versions is a highly processed product full of preservatives and artificial sweeteners. These compounds not only harm the liver and pancreas, but also interfere with the absorption of essential nutrients for muscle health. The consequence: tired legs, lacking vitality, and more prone to pains and stiffness. Simple sugars present in these chocolates are quickly absorbed, generating insulin spikes that deplete muscle energy. For those already struggling to maintain lean mass, this instability is disastrous. Moreover, milk chocolate is often associated with abdominal weight gain, a factor that increases the load on the lower limbs. This constant overload favors the wear and tear of the joints of the knees, hips, and ankles, but there are healthy substitutions that still allow for pleasurable moments. Chocolates with a high content of cocoa offer flavonoids and antioxidants that protect muscles and circulation. Consumed in moderation, these products can even collaborate with vascular health. The key lies in choice and quantity, always guided by awareness and balance. Number 5. Canned foods with chemical preservatives. Canned foods are extremely practical, but they come with a series of additives that can seriously compromise the health of the legs in old age. Most of these products are rich in sodium, dyes, and chemical preservatives like sodium, benzoate, and nitrite. These compounds are highly inflammatory and negatively affect vascular and muscle health. When consumed frequently, they make it difficult for muscles to oxygenate and hinder the muscle regeneration process. Moreover, the excess sodium in canned foods favors fluid retention, one of the biggest causes of a sensation of heavy and painful eggs. This retention not only generates discomfort but can also indicate that the tissues are inflamed and poorly circulated. The problem worsens in people with hypertension, common after 60, as the extra salt further overloads the cardiovascular system, impairing the delivery of essential nutrients to the muscles. Another alarming factor in foods is the loss of nutritional quality. Even canned vegetables and proteins undergo processes that destroy much of their natural nutrients. What remains is a food poor in vitamins and minerals, but rich in toxins that the body needs to struggle to eliminate. This metabolic overload consumes energy and affects muscle performance. The constant tiredness and lack of strength in the legs may have more to do with your diet than you think. Moreover, the aluminum present in some cans, although in small amounts, can accumulate in the body over time. There are indications that the frequent consumption of food stored in metal containers can negatively affect the nervous system and muscle function. This increases the risk of progressive weakness, imbalances, and even falls, a risk that simply does not pay off. considering the alternatives available on the market, avoiding canned goods and opting for fresh, frozen, or naturally preserved versions is an important step for those who want to preserve mobility. Cooking with real ingredients without artificial additives brings almost immediate benefits to well-being. And more than that, it's a decision that protects your autonomy and quality of life as the years pass. If you think that only industrialized foods harm your legs, know that there is still more to be revealed. The two most dangerous vitamins for muscle health will be addressed soon, and the truth behind these supplements may surprise you. Number 4. Filled cookies and industrialized snacks. Filled cookies and industrialized snacks are part of many people's snacks, but after 60, their consumption can accelerate the loss of strength in the legs. Full of artificial ingredients such as dyes, flavorings, preservatives, and stabilizers, these foods are true aggressors to the body. They not only inflame the body, but also overload important organs like the liver and kidneys, directly interfering with circulation, and the products are highly caloric and poor in fibers, proteins, and minerals. In other words, they offer many calories and very little nutrition. For those in old age, this is extremely dangerous as the body no longer retains nutrients the way it did in youth. The natural loss of muscle mass, which occurs with the passing of the years, requires a richer and more functional diet. And eating products full of sugar, hydrogenated fat, and salt only accelerates this deterioration. Another major problem is the type of fat used in these products, trans fats. This type of artificial fat is one of the main inflammatory agents in modern nutrition. They not only clog arteries, but also make it difficult for blood rich in oxygen and nutrients to reach the muscles, and when the musculature of the legs is not well irrigated, the result is pain, fatigue, and even a sensation of wobbly legs. The fragility is installed silently, but progressively. Moreover, the excess sodium in these foods contributes to fluid retention, increasing the swelling in the lower limbs. Swollen legs are a clear sign that something is wrong. Compromised circulation, combined with poor nutrition, creates a perfect environment for the development of varicose veins, chronic pains, and a sensation of heaviness when walking. And all this may have its origin in seemingly harmless snacks. These cookies and snacks also promote spikes in glucose and sharp falls soon after, leaving the body with a sensation of weakness and a constant need for more food. This vicious cycle favors weight gain and reduces muscle energy. The more dependent you are on this type of product, the less your ability to maintain strong, healthy, and functional legs in daily life. Substituting for nuts, dried fruits, or natural bars already completely changes this scenario. Number 3. Foods with monosodium glutamate. Monosodium glutamate is present in a multitude of industrialized foods, from ready-made seasonings to instant noodles, passing through meat broths, packed soups, and many frozen ready meals. This additive is used to enhance the flavor of foods, but its impact on the human body goes far beyond taste. For those over 60, frequent consumption of monosodium can have severe effects, especially on the musculature of the legs. Monosodium interferes with the nervous system, affecting important neurotransmitters that regulate muscle contraction. People more sensitive to this substance may experience muscle pains, migraines, tinglings, and generalized fatigue. When these effects manifest in legs, they cause sensations of heaviness, stiffness, and even mild tremors. And the problem worsens with age, as the body becomes more vulnerable to exotoxic substances, which cause damage to neurons. Moreover, monosodium glutamate contributes to chronic inflammation in the body. This inflammation affects joints, muscles, and blood vessels, impairing muscle function and circulation in extremities. With poorly oxygenated legs, the risk of muscle weakness, cramps, and loss of mobility significantly increases. And it's worth noting that many foods containing monosodium are also high in sodium, which exacerbates fluid retention and swelling in the legs. This additive also interferes with energy metabolism, causing changes in glucose use by muscles. This reduces the efficiency of the muscle in converting energy into strength, leaving the legs vulnerable to fatigue even in simple tasks, like climbing stairs or walking short distances. Over the long term, this diet can lead to muscle mass loss and dependence on others to perform daily activities. Many people do not even realize how much monosodium they consume daily. It is hidden under various names on product labels, such as flavor enhancer, yeast extract, hydrolyzed protein, and other technical terms that mask its real impact. Therefore, the ideal is to avoid ultra-processed foods in artificial seasonings, opting for natural seasonings like fresh herbs, garlic, onion, lemon, and olive oil. And now we're going to reveal the two worst vitamins that, when consumed in excess, can weaken your legs. Number 2, excess vitamin A. Vitamin A is essential for several body functions, including vision, immunity, and skin integrity. However, when consumed in excess, especially through supplements, it can become toxic, causing a series of adverse effects, including on the leg muscles. After 60, the body has more difficulty processing and eliminating excessive amounts of this vitamin, which increases the risk of accumulation in the liver and joints. One of the most common symptoms of hypervitaminosis A is muscle pain, especially in the legs and back. This pain can be mistaken for joint or spinal problems, but it originates from excess of the vitamin, which causes inflammation in the muscle tissues. Besides pain, reports of muscle weakness, difficulty climbing stairs, walking, or getting up after sitting for a long time are clear signs that nutritional balance has been compromised. Excess vitamin A also interferes with the absorption of other essential minerals, such as calcium and magnesium. Without these minerals, the muscles cannot contract and relax properly, favoring the emergence of cramps, spasms, and fatigue in the legs. Moreover, the accumulation of vitamin A in the liver can affect energy production, harming muscle performance. The consequence is a progressive loss of strength and mobility. Another negative impact of excess vitamin A is bone demineralization. This weakens the bones and increases the risk of fractures, especially in the legs and hips, regions heavily demanded in daily life. The effect is even more dangerous in people who already have osteopenia or osteoporosis. Therefore, the use of vitamin A supplements should only be done with medical advice and always in controlled doses. Self-medication is one of the main causes of these hidden problems. Vitamin A is naturally present in foods like liver, egg yolk, whole milk, carrot, and pumpkin. When the diet is balanced, there's no need for supplementation. The risk begins when there is an exaggeration, especially in enriched products or concentrated supplements. Therefore, it is essential to monitor total intake, considering all sources, including multivitamins. Number 1, excess vitamin D. Vitamin D is often associated with bone health and the proper functioning of immune system, being especially recommended for the elderly. But what few know is that in excess it can cause severe side effects, including on the legs. Hypervitaminosis D occurs when there is an accumulation of this vitamin in the body, usually due to exaggerated supplementation, and one of the main symptoms of this imbalance is muscle pain accompanied by weakness and loss of motor coordination. Unlike other vitamins that the body easily eliminates, vitamin D is fat-soluble, meaning it accumulates in adipose tissues. When in excess, it can cause elevated calcium levels in the blood, also known as hypercalcemia. This causes symptoms such as cramps, joint pains, a burning sensation in the muscles, and stiffness in the legs. Hypercalcemia directly affects the nerves and muscles, impairing the electrical impulses that command body movements. Excess vitamin D can also cause undue calcification of soft tissues, including tendons and muscles. This means that areas such as knees, calves, and thighs can become stiffer, less flexible, and painful on exertion. What should be a protective substance becomes a factor of wear and limitation. Elderly people who use high doses of vitamin D without medical supervision run a greater risk of suffering these complications. Another concerning point is that vitamin D, when consumed in high doses, can negatively affect the kidneys, responsible for balancing minerals in the blood. The renal impact is reflected in poor filtration and retention of substances, which exacerbates swelling in the legs, muscle pain, and a sensation of weakness. This creates a feedback loop: more vitamin D, more calcium, less kidney function, more muscle problems. It is important to emphasize that vitamin D supplementation should always be individualized based on laboratory tests and medical advice. Many people take high doses on their own, believing they are doing well for the body, but the truth is that excess can be as harmful as deficiency, and when it comes to the independence And if you want to keep receiving the best videos for your health, subscribe to the channel, because it exists for one reason: to make you a healthier person with more quality of life. Helping you is my mission. In the video that now appears on your screen, I reveal the free essential vitamins that every diabetic should take. Click on the screen and check it out. So until the next video,